You ever notice how silence hits harder than any argument? How one distant reply, one missing word, one shift in tone can ruin your whole night? You tell yourself to relax, to stop overthinking, to act normal, but your body betrays you before your mind even understands what's happening. Your chest tightens, your breath shortens, and suddenly the smallest change feels like a threat. You reread conversations, study emojis like evidence, searching for the moment everything started slipping. And the part you never say out loud is this: you feel abandoned long before anyone actually leaves, not because they said anything, but because something inside you recognizes the shift instantly. Most people think silence is harmless, but if you've ever loved someone who suddenly pulled away, you know silence isn't empty. Silence is loaded. Silence has weight. Silence carries every fear you've ever tried to hide. And that's what nobody explains. Your reaction to silence isn't dramatic. It's biological. Your body is wired to fear uncertainty. Your mind is wired to fear the space where answers should be. When someone grows distant, your brain enters survival mode. It tries to make sense of the unknown with whatever memories it has, and it always reaches for the ones that hurt. What makes silence even more brutal is that it offers no timeline, no explanation, no point of reference. You don't know if it's temporary or permanent, meaningful or meaningless. And the uncertainty itself becomes the pain. Humans can tolerate wounds. What destroys them is wondering when the next one will land. Silence turns you into a detective without clues, a storyteller without facts, and the story you write always has the same ending: I wasn't enough. The real problem isn't the silence itself. It's what the silence activates inside you. Your past reopens. Your childhood strategies come back. That familiar panic, the one you learned years ago, rushes in like it never left. A shorter reply feels like rejection. A delayed message feels like danger. A colder tone feels like the start of the end. You're not responding to the person in front of you. You're responding to every person who left without telling you why. You're not hurting from today. You're hurting from every version of this feeling you've survived. And then something even deeper happens. You start adjusting. You shrink your needs before they're even questioned. You lower your expectations before they're even challenged. You soften your words so you don't come across as too much. You silence your feelings so you don't risk losing the connection completely. You begin walking on emotional eggshells around someone who hasn't even asked you to, not because they deserve that power, but because your wounds remember what losing love feels like. Silence trains you more effectively than any confrontation ever could. There's also a hidden layer people rarely talk about: the self-negotiation. You start convincing yourself that their silence is normal, that your needs are unreasonable, that wanting consistency makes you demanding. You begin rewriting your identity to fit into a space that was never big enough to hold the real you. Silence becomes a mirror reflecting a distorted version of yourself, one where your worth feels negotiable, conditional, fragile, and the longer the silence lasts, the smaller that version becomes. People assume distance means disinterest, but that's not always the truth. Some people withdraw because they're overwhelmed. Some because they're avoidant. Some because they fear intimacy. Some because consistency feels too exposing. And some because they simply never intended to meet your depth with their own. But to someone who feels deeply, who notices micro shifts, who lives with emotional antennas always raised, silence feels personal. Their distance becomes your self-doubt. Their inconsistency becomes your insecurity. Their silence becomes your story. And here's the irony. Silence hurts more than words because silence forces you to supply the meaning. You fill the emptiness with the most painful explanation you know. not because it's true, but because it feels familiar. Your brain chooses the version that matches your history, not your reality, and that is why you spiral. Not because someone went quiet, but because silence is the one thing you were never taught how to survive. But silence can also be the point where everything shifts. Because silence is information. Silence is clarity that doesn't require language. When someone stops showing effort, that is effort. When someone stops showing up, that is a choice. When someone goes quiet, that silence is communication. People lie with their words, but they rarely lie with their absence. Distance is honesty. Consistency is honesty. Effort is honesty. And the moment you learn to read actions instead of fantasies, their silence stops breaking you. It starts revealing them. Healing begins exactly here. When you understand that silence says more about their emotional capacity than your worth. You are not unlovable because someone couldn't love you properly. You are not too much because someone could only love in halves. Their silence reflects their limits, not your value. And the second you stop personalizing someone else's emotional avoidance, you start reclaiming the power silence once took from you. You heal when you stop chasing clarity from people who communicate in shadows. You heal when you stop interpreting crumbs as care. You heal when you start choosing consistency over intensity. When you stop adapting to people who cannot meet you where you are. When you stop giving more just to feel less anxious. When you stop defining your worth by someone else's emotional availability. Healing isn't loud. Healing is the quiet realization that you no longer need to beg for the bare minimum. And slowly, the relationship dynamic changes. You stop checking your phone every hour. You stop replaying messages in your head. The drop in your stomach doesn't control you anymore. You stop shrinking yourself to fit into spaces that were never built for someone with your depth. You stop clinging to potential and start honoring reality. You stop chasing validation from people who can't offer it. Instead, you begin choosing the connections that feel safe without effort, steady without fear, and mutual without negotiation. The right person won't speak in silence. The right person won't make you decode mixed signals. The right person won't disappear when things get complicated. They won't punish you with distance or leave you guessing what you mean to them. The right person will communicate even when it's uncomfortable. They will show up consistently. They will give clarity without being asked. Real connection doesn't get quieter when it matters. It gets louder. And once you experience that kind of stability, every inconsistent, half-present, emotionally unavailable person stops feeling magnetic. Silence stops feeling like something you must solve. Distance stops feeling like your fault. Love stops feeling like a test. Your nervous system finally learns what safety feels like, and suddenly, silence loses its power. Because the truth is simple, silence hurts more than words, because silence makes you confront your own wounds. But once you understand those wounds, once you stop confusing someone else's distance with your own value, the panic fades, the fear dissolves, and the silence becomes something it never was before. A reminder that you deserve a connection that doesn't make you guess. And from that moment on, every time someone goes quiet, every time someone withdraws, every time someone pulls back without explanation, you won't collapse, you won't spiral, you won't lose yourself. You'll simply understand their silence is not your responsibility, their distance is not your failure, and your worth has never depended on someone else's ability to stay.